All right. Well, they say that you save the best for last. How true is this? The individual that I am going to induct and present is one of the most brilliant men I have ever met in my life, and I'm being heartfelt when I say this. And I'm referring to Mr. Jim Cornette. Many adjectives can be attached to Mr. Cornette. Outspoken, outlandish, but never out. He always had a finger on the pulse of the industry and continues to do so this day. Because he was a fan. And the best options to get into this industry, if you have no experience at all, you better be a rare bird because you'll succeed if you really put hard work and perseverance to it. But Jimmy was a fan, and Jimmy certainly had the opportunity to prove his worth. Boy, oh boy, did he ever. I can go on and on and on, but I'm going to try and encapsulate this. Jim Cornette was involved in many different promotions. He was in the Memphis territory, and I'm going to be just scan the surface, Jimmy. All right, yes, because I know you have a 45-minute speech. Yeah, okay. He had the Memphis territory. He was in WCW. He had his own promotion. You remember Smoky Mountain Wrestling? Wasn't that great? Absolutely, absolutely. TNA. And of course, I'm just mentioning, okay, Ring of Honor, and of course, he had I would suggest a cup of coffee with WWE. And when we had Jimmy in 93, 94, 95, we were right across the office from each other. Remember that? And I tell you what, I thought I knew everything. I learned so much from Jimmy just by his demeanor. You can fill in the rest of that, but Jimmy was just an incredible human being. And one thing, and I'm going to bring this up if I may, Jimmy, one thing that we had a common interest in wasn't wrestling, it was music. And every day that Jim was in the office, we would test each other's musical intuition. I would name a song from the 60s or the 70s. And he would, bang, get it right. And when he got it wrong, he wasn't happy. But nonetheless, I could go on and on and on, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say this. As I said, and I'll say it again, the genius that is Jim Cornette will always live on in this industry. That's how I feel. And ladies and gentlemen, with that in mind, it is my extreme honor to present and induct into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2015, the one, the only, James E. Cornette!
I wanted Tutti Frutti, by the way. The New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, you can tell by my accent, I'm from up here in these parts. I'd like to thank the just under 50% of you that hung around to see this induction. Oh, shut up, Caleb, you're just trying to suck up and get a job. Wait a minute. Corderis, put that cigarette out, Corderis. He wanted to hear you say it, Gene, but you didn't, so I had. No, they told me literally like minutes. I was standing back there minutes before this ceremony was about to start. They said, we're inducting you into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. I said, how am I involved that heavily, or how do I have the right to be inducted in the New England Hall of Fame? And they said, well we're going to do it. Howard's got a great speech and everything. Say what? Oh, I see it. First time for drinking actual alcohol, right? Okay. I said, how did I have that big of an impact on New England pro wrestling? Because, New England, like the entire country, but New England has a great pro wrestling tradition going back 100 years. You go back to Jim Londos's matches at the ballpark. Is Tom Burke still here? It's past Tom's bedtime. I've known. He's at the bar? No, that's just an empty stool there. But no, Tom Burke I've known for 35 years. He's probably the only human being in the world that has a bigger pro wrestling memorabilia collection than I do, and I've known him, as I said, for so long, and of course I've just seen Sheldon Goldberg. Sheldon actually stuck this thing out. Yeah, Shelly, there you go. Yeah, actually his legs fell asleep, and he was just embarrassed to be drug out. But Sheldon Goldberg gave me some great programs today. We're doing some business on for Paul Bowser and the Boston Garden in the 40s. Anyway, Boston and the New England area has a great pro wrestling tradition, and I really haven't had that much to do with it. I mean, there is a point of trivia note in the Midnight Express's history. The first night that Stan Lane replaced Dennis Condrey in the Midnight Express, his very first night, we're in the semi-main event in the Boston Garden in front of a $100,000 house against the Road Warriors. So talk about a baptism by fire. And one of my other favorite nights in Boston Garden was when it was the Midnight Express and Dr. Death Steve Williams against the Freebirds, Hayes, Garvin, and Gordy. And that's when Garvin pissed Dr. Death off, and Dr. Death took one of those old wooden chairs in the Boston Garden and was hitting Jimmy Garvin. Pieces were flying, pieces of Jimmy, not the chair. But I got to thinking as I heard some of the speeches, I have had somewhat of an impact on New England pro wrestling, but it was just in terms of being able to be lucky enough to give some of the guys up here a chance to be seen by a wider audience. And, you know, you got to thank Kevin Sullivan for that, who introduced me to this nutcase crew of Tony Rumble, Jeff Katz, and Eric Sprazia, and Knuckles Nelson, and Slick Wagner Brown, and anybody that was okay with Kevin Sullivan was okay with me. I trusted his talent judgment. That's also how I got Jimmy Del Rey to be one of the heavenly bodies from Kevin Sullivan's talent judgment. So anyway, I was able to, you know, help those guys be seen by a little bit wider audience. And there's so many other guys here tonight, and a guy that isn't, Steve Bradley. I'm sure everybody knows Steve Bradley should have been such a tremendous star, and he got a chance to work for me a little bit on OVW, and he was down in Memphis, and we tried to help him, and at that time it didn't pan out, but there's been a lot of talent, and there continues to be good talent come from New England. I can think of Eddie Edwards, who I've been high on ever since the first day I saw him in Ring of Honor. And so I just want to say, if, you know, all of these guys and so many more, and I'll tell you what, Tony Rumble not only could book a great wrestling show, but he could get you a heck of a deal on a Toyota Camry. He did me from his cousin up there in Connecticut, you know. So anyway, I have done nothing in my career to merit inclusion in a New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame on the surface of it, but if I was able to bring some spotlight and give some New Englanders, some real New Englanders, not just a transplanted one like me, a chance to be exposed, to be seen by a wider audience, and to shine, and to have some other opportunities, then on that precept, I will accept this award into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame for all the people that have asked, Cornette, when are you going in the Hall of Fame? I did it! I did it, Adrian! I'm in the Hall of Fame. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Cornette. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of everyone involved of the Hall of Fame ceremony, the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and today's activities, I want to thank each and every one of you for being with us here tonight. We really appreciated you sticking it out. And Jim, we will do a scientific survey to see if that less than 50% did actually leave. All right, please do. 60-40, okay. Hey, folks, thank you so much for attending, and enjoy the rest of your evening. And as I normally say, please arrive home safely. We'll see you next year. Good night, everybody.